instead of having our own people out of work. So it's almost as though we shouldn't have planned well, and I can't find any logic in that. So I'm going to support those motions.
Teresa?
Thank you. Patrick, just to clarify for me, the ones where it would be, you know, the homeowner wanting to make the addition, that fee didn't increase, did it? That's the minor plan check? I'm sorry, I am on J220 from the previous one. Well, let me just say, minor plan check is 50 now, and it's going to stay 50.
Find it. I'm looking in the new one.
Yeah, it was the old one.
And you're right. We were reviewing the new one. Let's see. I'm there.
That's page 10, but it's J220 of the previous meeting, April 29th. I'm sorry.
Got it. I'll pull it out. So what's the page number again? Sorry. J2?
J220.
Okay.
Does it? Well, I was looking at the summary sheet.
Okay. Okay. I was looking. Okay. 40 for minor plan check. And that's typically an over-the-counter for something that's very small. That just stays at $50.
Right.
For small additions, the building fee, if you recall, that's where there is a reduction because it was lumped in a category for that small addition of 0 to 500, and it popped back up to a small addition that's under 100 square feet to pretty high. And so now we have a new category in the ESCIL contract from 0 to 100 square feet. So that's actually a 38% reduction in the ESCIL fees because it was inappropriate to lump it in the higher category. So there's reduction in the building fees, and planning fees are $50. I think that's an over-the-counter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it also applies to additions, Carrie says. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because we don't want to penalize the person that is just going to stay put because they can't sell their house, and so they might be considering doing an addition. And the other thing, too, is that here in the city of Encinitas, we're extremely fortunate that our property values are staying stable compared to some other places. So it is a good investment to buy and build into this community. So I fully support the motion to approve all of these resolutions.
Yes, as do I. And everyone is feeling the pinch of this economy. And as Councilmember Barr said, we've been reasonably lucky here in that things are probably more stable here and on the coast than in certain other areas. But we just also have adopted increased fees for during these times to recover cost. We've adopted user fees and increases in user fees. So when people rent rooms at the community center or take out permits for various activities, they're going to be paying more. And we did that because that is the cost of doing business. I support the motion and the work of the consultants and our staff because we need to think like a business. And I just want it understood that this is not full cost recovery. The city, i.e. the general fund, this means our taxpayers in the city of Encinitas are subsidizing somewhere about 48% of the cost of issuing fees, inspections, and things like that. So there has been a recognition that that there is a benefit when people reinvest and fix properties, but at the same time the taxpayers do not need to take on an additional burden through their tax dollars. So I'm going to support it. And something that I thought was very interesting, and I just wanted to share a little bit in this discussion. It was in the Sunday Union Tribune, and it was a discussion of ahead of the market. It was real estate in San Diego County. And I think this is important, too, because when we're being asked by representatives from the building industry to cut down on the overhead, Scott, I was going to share this with you. But okay, good. But we've had housing prices that were so far beyond the market that people were being pushed out, and we had families buying homes they couldn't afford, enabled by a mortgage industry that, according to this, lost, and this is a consultant to the field, Christopher Thornburg, that lost any sense of underwriting standards, along with a recession that has turned into the worst we've seen since World War II. The first part, unqualified buying, pushed prices in San Diego County to levels that were unsustainable by any measure when compared with incomes. Price had to fall 40 to 45% from their peak just to get back to historical levels of affordability. And that actually hurt us economically because people could not get employees to come here, and it was difficult to, because of that, to get businesses to think about settling here. So we didn't see overhead issues being discussed when the prices were being pushed up. Everybody has overhead, and we have commissioned a study. We have said that we're going to raise our rates. It's been 4 years since the last rate. This is going to happen. Our residents are paying more for sewer. We raised rates a couple years ago that are graduated and raised periodically, and we're paying more for other utilities, water, gas and electric, other things. So this is the cost of doing business. The taxpayers are still sharing the cost of these, and I feel that the rates, while they're higher, are reflective of a fair assessment of the cost of doing business. And Jerome, you were up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very briefly, I wanted to touch on the idea of somebody wants to add on to their house and what impact, if any, this action will have on them, because that's our neighborhoods, and we do want to encourage investing in our community. The permitting costs, I'm reading from J2-3, third bullet point. The permitting costs for construction of a typical 500 square foot addition to a single family residence are currently $1,288.12. The proposed increase would result in raising that amount by 13.5% to $1,462.54, which includes $1,091.45 in building fees and $371.09 for city overhead at 34%.